Hi, this is Lynn Sim from Pronex Eminence Landed team. How's everybody doing? 2 more weeks to the end of circuit breaker. I hope everybody press on, okay, as much as I can. Okay, today I get some times and I decided to do another sharing, and the sharing that I'm doing is actually the pros and cons on strata house. Why this topic? I think it's because during circuit breaker I have still calling in to inquiry on the strata houses that we're selling, so I decided to do a short sharing on this. So let's first go into what is strata house. Okay, strata house, if you look at this model, this plan that I'm showing right now, okay, strata house is also known as cluster housing. Okay, strata house is a form of landed housing that comes with strata title, and they are within the landed housing zone or estate, including the group class bungalow. Okay, if you look at this plan right now that I showed, this is actually a strata house development. All right, it comprises of strata title units, all right, with a common development with a single vehicle access and a communal facilities. Because this is a strata unit, right, so there's a footprint for individual house, that means a lay footprint of it to be at least a minimum of 50 square meter. That's come about 538 square feet. Okay, similarly, the regulations that falls on the strata house applies the same as the typical landed houses. Okay, so but there's additional things that we have to take note in terms of the strata house, is that because strata house has common facilities, there's a requirement by the URA to have 45% of this space, okay, of the plot itself to be used for communal and greeneries. And now with this 45%, 25% has to be set aside for green. It has to be. The balance 20% up to a maximum of 20% to be used for common facilities such as the swimming pool, the gym, or some of the development has sauna and playground. This really depends on the size of the development. So where can we find strata landed house? Okay, strata landed and the typical landed house are having the same requirements in terms of the location where you can find in the website of the URA. So I get this plan out. All right, and this is extracted from the URA website, and it's under the control plan. From this website, right, from this plan, you can see there are the requirements on this plot of land itself. So we can see there's a 3-story mixed landed, 2.5-story mixed landed, 2-story mixed landed, and a 2-story semi-D. All right, and a GCB area. So based on this plan itself, we were able to see what is the type of development you can build up. For example, for this 3-story mixed landed, that means that you were able to find a mixture of semi-D, terraces, detached within the development. Okay, so this is what we can make reference to it, where we can find strata house. So what are the benefits of having a strata house? I personally come with 5 benefits of what are the 5 benefits of strata house. First, I would think that is the facilities. You know, if you look at strata houses, it comprises of having the perk of owning a condo facilities and the landed house. It's like a hybrid between a condo and a landed house. And if you are looking for if you are somebody that wants to experience landed house and do not want to forgo the benefit of having condo minimum facilities, this is something that you want to look at it. Because in strata house, depending on the size and the skills of the development, it does come with communal services such as the pool, the gym, the garden, which I mentioned just now. 45% of it will be set aside for this. While typical landed houses do not come with it. For example, if you buy a terraces, do you be able to get a swimming pool within your house? That's one question. If you want a gym in your house, will you be able to have a gym unless you take out one of your rooms and fill it up with a gym? So, but in a strata landed houses, because of the communal services that we have, it's like staying in landed with facilities. Second, security. Okay, for landed houses, depending on the size of the development, some of the landed house has guarded, gate. All right, it's similar having your own gate. All right, versus to some of the development, they have their security posts whereby it's like a condominium. So there's a security that are put in place for strata house. That doesn't mean that landed houses doesn't have, but just that you have to pay on your own for your CCTV or your surveillance cameras to be connected to the Cisco, for example, or this security company. So having strata landed, you also reduce the cost that you have to pay for maintaining the security itself. Right? Third, the price. The price of the strata landed house are generally more affordable than a typical landed house. So let me take a comparison of Strata Landed in D10. I extract the latest transactions in March 2020, and there was a freehold strata house, a semi-D, that was sold in Jalan Lintah Kisi at Esther Villa. It was a semi-D, strata semi-D, with a footprint of, with a strata area of 4704, and it was sold at 3.18. So similarly, at 3.18, what can you buy in this area? This is one question that you probably want to ask, for example, if you want to stay in D10. Okay, so I take a direct comparative, okay, to a semi-D in this area itself, which is another one sold in Jalan in Lim Tati, and it was sold in March 2020 with a land size of 3477, and it was sold at 5.3. So you take a difference, 5.3 million versus a 3.18 million. All right. So for example, if you're somebody who wants to stay in District 10, which is Bukit Timah area because of the good school, but yet you are not willing to pay so much in terms of dollar, all right, and you are looking for somebody who wants to have a balance of both, then you probably want to look at strata landed houses because of the wide difference in prices. Okay, so let us go to another district, District 28. District 28, there's a two different launch. It's a new launch. The one is Belgravia Green that was launched in 2019. Okay, the latest transactions in Belgravia Green was in October 2019. It was an inter-terraces unit, right, with a strata area of 3131, and it was sold at 2.798 million. Similarly, alright, if I compare to a typical house in Luxus Hill that was launched in a couple of weeks ago or couple of months ago, it was sold at 3.4 for a land size of 1614 square feet. And there are also units that are sold at 3.7 million for a biggest land size of 2207. So if you take differences between the inter-terraces, which is 3.4 versus 2.78, that's a saving of about close to $500,000. Okay, but definitely they are different title. But it's just that if you want to stay in a landed, but then yet there's some buffer in terms of your amount that you want to pay, you might want to consider strata landed. Fourth, maintenance. All right, being a strata landed owner, you do not have to worry about maintaining the facade of your home or the facilities of your development. Why? Because every month you have to pay a thing called the management fees, which goes into your sunken funds and also the management fees. And this MCSD, which is called the Management Corporation Strata Committee, will be responsible for the upkeeping of your development, right? In terms of your gym, replacements of the equipment, all this will fall under this. And that means that you don't have to fork out a lump sum as compared to the typical house where you look into maintenance. So maintenance is one thing that you can consider. For example, if you are someone that doesn't want to think so much or doesn't have to worry too much about maintenance, yeah, strata house is one thing that you probably want to consider. Okay, so goes back to this maintenance fees. All right, as I mentioned just now, because you need to pay a regular maintenance fees, it could be a couple of hundreds of dollars depending on the size of your development. All right, versus typical landed houses. Okay, for example, typical landed houses, you probably don't have to pay maintenance fees, but if you have a garden, you need to call the gardener to come in and maintain your landscaping. If you have a pool, you need to call in the regular pool people to come in and regulate your pool. All these are regular fees that you need to pay, look into it. All right, but it's just that when you pay a maintenance fees to your strata management, they are responsible for the upkeeping of the property, and that means including every 5 to 8 years they are responsible for changing a new fresh paint of paint to your house. Versus if you're buying a landed houses on your own, you have to responsible for your own painting of the house. I mean, I stays in a landed house before, and I also owned a strata landed house before, and the cost is really a huge one in terms of painting the house versus regular maintenance that you pay up front on a regular basis. So there's always a pros and cons in how you look at it. Okay, so for example, I just take the repainting of your facade. If you are strata landed houses, what you have been paying over the years in terms of monthly payments will go into that sinking funds that will look into your maintenance of your facade. But if you're a landed owner, imagine 10 years later, you have raindrops on your wall and you need to paint on your own, and the cost of the external painting, just external painting, if you need to get scaffolding in, you need to get Spider-Man to come and paint it, it could easily reach 5 digits, 10,000, and that is out from your own pocket. All right, so that is something that we probably want to look at it in terms of the pros. So the pros are summary. First will be the facility. Second, the security. Third, the price. fourth, the maintenance, and fifth, the maintenance fees of regular upkeeping. So that lets me move to what are the disadvantages of a strata land. So what are the disadvantages of having a strata landed house? I come up with 4 of it, and the first one is actually the ownership of it. Owners do not own the land which the strata houses sits in. They actually own share of the overall development as compared to the typical landed houses. The plot of land is your land, but in terms of the strata house, the plot of land is subdivided into your house. So that's the difference in it, and some people are mindful of it. They were thinking, why do I need to own part shares of it? Okay, so it really depends on individual preference. 2, the maintenance fees. As I mentioned just now, you have advantages of it's a two-way sword. When you pay a monthly fees to the MCC versus you pay a lump sum out at once for a maintenance fees, think about it. Alright, sometimes you might just want to accumulate like saving into it versus you want to pay one lump sum. But maintenance fees can vary from different developments. Some bigger developments will have a smaller amount, and also depends on the facility with it. 3rd, the restriction. Okay, a strata landed is very much like any strata development. There are regulations and bylaw which the owner has to follow. Alright, like changing of the facade. You can't change the facade of your house if in strata landed. You can't change the colors of your house only. Alright, in owning your units in a strata landed. But if this is your own house, own landed, you can change whatever color you want. So that's a very big difference if you are somebody that you want own individualism. 4th, the parking. Most of the strata landed houses actually provide a direct parking systems into your house. For example, parking lots into your house. That means that there are also restrictions in terms of the numbers of units of car park lots that you're entitled to. Versus if you have your own landed house, if you've got a big front porch that you can park 3 or 4 cars, that is your own area. So having said that, the 4 disadvantages that what I look at it is the first, ownership; 2nd, maintenance fees; 3rd, restrictions; and 4th, parking. So ultimately, whether you want to look into a strata house or a typical landed house, I think you look into the pros and cons. First, your pros and cons of it; 2nd, the budgets that you have; 3rd, the locations that you want to be. Okay, and after all considerations, you probably want to drill down to where you want to be. But I'm just one personal sharing. I and my parents co-owns the strata house before, and also a landed house. So I've stayed in both, and then we have a benefit of both houses. And having a strata landed is actually having a luxury of having a condo facilities versus and having a landed house. So if you have a family, it's a growing family, and you will have children, and you want to stay in a bigger house with more rooms, more strata areas, and you want to have facilities, do consider buying strata house. It's something that you can upgrade down the road to a landed house if you think that you want to move into a pure landed, a typical landed house. Alright, so in Eminence Landed, we have quite a few good strata house within our own listing. So if you're interested, please give me a call at 9109-3781 if you want to get more information on the strata house that we have. In the meanwhile, please stay safe, press on for 2 more weeks, and we'll be slowly out to get our things done.